Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. I'm Annette Young. Osama Bin Laden's death and growing pressure from the US Congress to shrink America's commitment in Afghanistan is encouraging those in the Obama administration who favour a swift reduction of US forces. In plans currently being discussed by the White House, Washington would withdraw some 70,000 troops from Afghanistan during the next 3 years. But the commander of the British forces in the country is warning that now is not the time to blink. And he's not alone. Abdullah Abdullah, a former Afghan presidential candidate, also agrees that a premature or hasty withdrawal would lead to chaos. His comments came as thousands have recently turned up at a rally in Kabul to listen to him argue against any reconciliation with the Taliban. Abdullah Abdullah joins me here in the studio today. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdullah, for joining us. Let me start by talking to you about how the pressure is on in Washington for the Obama administration to start reducing the number of troops on the ground in Afghanistan. What would happen if they started withdrawing now?
Premature withdrawal will be very counterproductive. It can endanger the achievements of the past 10 years, which are common achievements by the Afghans in the international community in results of many sacrifices made by both sides. I don't think that's in the interest of any country to do that, and that will endanger the national security interest not only of Afghanistan but also of all the peaceful countries which are helping Afghanistan in order to establish permanent peace and stability in that country. That debate, I wouldn't say that already had set the direction, but there is a serious debate, there is no doubt about it. There are those who understand the problem, and they think that the reduction, the transition has to be condition-based, with leaving an environment behind that can sustain itself and institutions behind that has the capacity to sustain itself, Afghan institutions. There are those who think that, no, enough is enough, let's leave. If not today, tomorrow completely. So the direction is not set yet, but the political events will have an impact. The death of Osama bin Laden strengthened the argument in favor of those who want to see a dramatic reduction of forces.
But you can understand President Obama is in a difficult position, isn't he, given the domestic pressure in terms of reducing America's involvement in wars overseas. I mean, he's between a rock and a hard place in that sense.
I would say that I can understand the politics which are involved in this, and also the pressure which is involved. But at the same time, neither President Obama or any of those people which are asking for the dramatic reduction would like to see terrorist networks coming back to Afghanistan and taking root and posing the same threats, not only to the Afghans, but for global peace and security. So in that case, all the sacrifices will be in vain. This is not a situation that anybody will volunteer for that. So it's a choice that finally, hopefully, it will be a choice, a wise one, vis-a-vis the countries which are involved.
You're here in Paris at the moment and you're talking to key government ministers. Are they sympathetic here in Paris and elsewhere across Europe to what you have to say? Is your voice being heard?
I would say that there is enough sympathy in terms of supporting Afghanistan and continued support for Afghanistan. About what form, in what sort of pace, with what sort of resources, how many troops, dramatic withdrawal, gradual withdrawal, there are different opinions. But I didn't find a sort of a keenness in the government part, in the ruling party part, for a sort of dramatic withdrawal, regardless of the outcome.
You're saying there's a multiplicity of views now being expressed.
That's right. Like a few years ago, there will be bipartisan, multi-party support, very popular case, the issue of Afghanistan. That's not there. And that takes us to the responsibility of us as Afghans. The Afghan government, of course, which has been now part of the problem rather than being part of the solution, but the rest of us as Afghans, how to utilize the remaining time that we have, where there is still goodwill enough goodwill among the international community to continue their support one way or another, to change the environment in a way so that transition is very gradual, and that transition does not risk compromising any of the achievements which have been there.
What impact has the killing of Osama bin Laden had on the Taliban in Afghanistan?
I would refer to the broader impact of the killing of Osama bin Laden. For Osama bin Laden, returning to Afghanistan was as important as Osama bin Laden himself was for Al-Qaeda. So Afghanistan had a symbolic as well as an actual significance for Osama bin Laden, because this image of invincibility, being undefeatable, was produced because now tens of thousands of international troops in Afghanistan, or a bit earlier, Osama bin Laden is still being in the mountains, because it was said in the mountains between Afghanistan and Pakistan. So he's not there. So that impact will be there in actual term. We will see the effect of this in the midterm and long term. And also the fact that he was providing support for the Taliban through networking the Taliban with the other terrorist organizations, through providing financial support for the Taliban, technical support for the Taliban, and also that symbol, that image, because Taliban had sacrificed Afghanistan for the sake of bin Laden earlier. And also the fact that now Pakistan and what its institutions have been doing is exposed. They cannot live in a state of denial. So the United States has to work it out with Pakistan, because though they might have known, I'm sure that they knew it earlier, but now the United States government is also under pressure from its public opinion as well as Congress representatives that why is it that we are helping a country and at the same time that country is providing support for our enemies, or enemy number one. And also the relations between Taliban and ISI will be different from now on, because Taliban will take it that as Osama was sold by ISI. So the trust will be disrupted. It will have an impact on Afghanistan, but its impact will be on global scale, on Al-Qaeda's capabilities.
Now, coming back to Afghanistan and President Hamid Karzai, he's said that any member of the Taliban who's willing to renounce violence and accept the Afghan constitution, he would be happy to sit down and talk to. You are not happy with the idea of reconciliation with the Taliban. Do you think there will ever be a time where it will be able, or all parties will be able to sit down in a room and sort of map out some sort of peace deal?
He talks about the conditions from time to time. And the conditions are acceptance of the constitution, giving up violence, and also severing links, cutting links with terrorist organizations. But in practice, he disregards those conditions. His offer is unconditional to the Taliban. We are against unconditional talks to the Taliban, which will lead to their strengthening rather than weakening. Majority of the people of Afghanistan are opposed to the Taliban, are against Talibanization of Afghanistan. The views of majority of the people should be considered. We are not there to compromise all those achievements of millions and millions of Afghans, which are there for the sake of Taliban idea. So the difference between our view and President Karzai's view is that his offer is unconditional. His offer is part of the power play. Ours is that to protect the interest of the majority of the people of Afghanistan, leave the door open for the talks based on very clear conditions. Without meeting those conditions, no talks.
Now, you've had a sort of rather problematic relationship with President Karzai, to put it mildly. You were a former foreign minister in his government. Do you believe he's still capable of leading the country?
Had he been capable of leading the country, we wouldn't have lost the golden opportunity which was there, which was the broad-based support of the Afghan people at the beginning, as well as the broad international support for Afghanistan. And now, 10 years down the road, it's because of his failures to deliver to the people that these big questions have risen. Is it working in Afghanistan? So how long it will going to take? No, he is not. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the vision to lead a country. He doesn't have a sense of direction, and he takes the enemy in place of a friend and in place of the enemy, and he has confused the whole nation. He doesn't have those capabilities.
Are you not tainted, though, by the fact that you did work in his government, and you know that's become somewhat of an obstacle to gain sort of broader political support in the Afghan electorate?
For me myself, no, absolutely not. When I worked in that government, and also when I supported the process right from the beginning, or when I supported President Karzai right from the beginning, my belief was that he believes in democracy. He believes in a common vision, in a vision for the people of Afghanistan. So Afghanistan will be a peaceful country. Afghanistan will be a unified country. In Afghanistan, people of Afghanistan, its citizens will live with equal rights, democracy, functioning government, transparency, justice, accountability, people's rights, in many things which comes with it. When I learned that he does not believe in democracy, then when I was even the foreign minister, I didn't vote for him. Then later on, when I put my name as a candidate, what I did was not give some rhetorics in Kabul. I went among the people and sensed the people, and I learned that the people do want change. And that's because it was because of that factor that, despite the fact that he had all the instruments of power in his hand, and he was using it against the law, against the constitution of the country, in support of his candidacy, the people stood with me, and it was a serious challenge for him. And of course, what happened, we all know about it.
Abdullah, I'm afraid that's all we have time for. That's it for this edition of the France 24 interview. Stay tuned for more news and headlines coming up shortly.